Dr. Venn stood in the observation gallery, three of his four eyes scanning the dormant subjects below. The fourth eye, as always, was glued to his data tablet. Multitasking was not just a skill for his species. It was a survival mechanism. "All vitals stable?" he asked without looking up. His assistant, a young Quellan named Pip, nodded enthusiastically. Pooh, enthusiastically. Venn hated that. It made his head tendrils itch. "Yes, doctor. All 47 subjects remain in deep stasis. Brain activity minimal. Respiratory functions at 12% baseline. Cardiac rhythms synchronized to the harmonic pulse. Everything is perfect." Perfect. Venn's middle eye twitched. Nothing was ever perfect in xenobiology. That was the whole point of the field. If everything worked perfectly, they would all be out of jobs, sipping fermented algae on some pleasure station instead of babysitting a collection of sleeping aliens in a sterile lab 3 systems away from anything remotely interesting. "Run another scan," Venn muttered. "Check subjects 15 through 22 again." The Valxian in Pod 19 had an elevated temperature reading this morning. "That was 4 hours ago, sir. The temperature normalized." "I know when it was, Pip. Run the scan." Pipe sighed, a sound like air escaping from a deflating balloon, and tapped at his console. The kid meant well, but he had that terrible affliction of youth. Optimism. Give him a few cycles in this job, and he would learn. The universe was not optimistic. The universe was a cold, sarcastic bastard that enjoyed watching people fail. Below them in the main laboratory, 47 stasis pods hummed softly in neat rows. Each pod contained a different species, all carefully sedated, all participating in the grand xenobiological comparative study. It was a mouthful of a title for what basically amounted to "let's see how different aliens react to the same drugs." Not glamorous, but it paid well. The Galactic Medical Consortium had deep pockets and shallower ethics. Subject 1 was a Quellan, like Pip. Subject 2, a Vaxian. Subject 3, a Keltar warrior who had volunteered because he thought stasis sounded restful. Spoiler, it was not. Subject 4 through 46 were a mixed bag of species from across the known sectors. Traders, colonists, volunteers, a few convicted criminals who had chosen this over prison. And then there was Subject 47, the human. Then glanced at the pod at the far end of the row. The human male lay motionless, his pale face peaceful, his breathing so shallow it barely registered on the monitors. Marcus Hale, according to the file. Age 32 standard years, occupation freight hauler. Reason for volunteering, crushing debt from a failed business venture. Humans were new to the galactic community, barely a decade since first contact, and they were already everywhere. Loud, curious, annoyingly persistent. They asked too many questions, broke too many rules, and somehow managed to charm their way out of most consequences, then found them exhausting. But scientifically, fascinating. Human biology was a nightmare and a wonder. Their bodies were inefficient, prone to breaking down, yet somehow incredibly resilient. They could survive injuries that would kill most species. They healed at remarkable rates. Their immune systems were terrifyingly aggressive. And their brains were chaos incarnate. Neurologically speaking, humans should not function as well as they did. Too many redundancies, too many competing systems, too much emotional interference. Yet here they were, spreading across the galaxy like a particularly stubborn fungus. "Sir?" Pip's voice cracked slightly. "You need to see this." Venn's head snapped up, all four eyes focused on the assistant. "See what?" He pointed at his screen, his hand trembling. Subject 47. The human, his brain activity just spiked. "How much?" 30% above baseline. "No, wait. 40%. 50. "Sir, it's still climbing." Venn dropped his tablet and rushed to the console. His eyes flicked across the data streams, his mind processing the information faster than Pip could vocalize it. The human's neural activity was increasing rapidly. Delta waves decreasing, alpha waves surging, rhyme patterns emerging. "He's dreaming," Venn said. "In stasis? That's impossible." "Clearly not, since it is happening right in front of us." The heart rate monitor beeped. Once, twice, the rhythm was accelerating. 40 beats per minute. 50. 60. "Doctor, should I administer another sedative dose?" Venn hesitated. Protocol said yes. Keep all subjects under until the study concluded. But his scientific curiosity said no. This was unprecedented. Humans were not supposed to dream in stasis. Nothing was supposed to dream in stasis. That was the entire point of the chemical cocktail they were using. It suppressed all higher brain functions, put the subjects in a state deeper than sleep, closer to death than consciousness. "Hold off," Venn said. "Let me see what happens." "Sir, the protocols clearly state—" "I wrote the protocols. Pip, I am aware of what they state." Down in the lab, Marcus Hale's fingers twitched. Venn felt his primary stomach clench. Muscle movement. That was definitely not supposed to happen. "Vital signs," he barked, increasing across the board. Heart rate at 70. Blood pressure rising. Oxygen consumption up 15%. "Doctor, I really think we should—" Marcus Hale's eyes opened. For a moment, nobody moved. Then stared at the monitors, his mind refusing to accept what his eyes were seeing. The human was awake, fully, completely, impossibly awake. "Oh, this is bad," Pip whispered. "This is very, very bad." "Shut up and lock down the lab," Ben snapped. "Full containment protocols. Now!" The pack's hands flew across the console, warning lights flashed red. Blast doors began sliding shut over the observation windows. Emergency containment fields activated around each stasis pod, crackling with energy. In Pod 47, Marcus Hale sat up. The lid of the stasis pod hissed open, releasing a cloud of coolant vapor. The human coughed, a wet, hacking sound that echoed through the lab. He looked around, his eyes unfocused, confused. Then he looked up, directly at the observation gallery, directly at Venn. Their eyes met through the reinforced glass. Marcus Hale smiled. Not a friendly smile, not a confused smile, a knowing smile. "Run a full system diagnostic," Venn said quietly. "I want to know how this happened." "Already running, sir. Preliminary results show no equipment malfunction. The sedation system is functioning normally. The pod integrity is intact. There is no reason Subject 47 should be conscious. And yet, he is." Down in the lab, Marcus was standing now, gripping the edge of the pod for balance. His legs were shaky, muscles atrophied from weeks of stillness. But he was upright, moving. "Should I call security?" Pip asked. "And tell them what?" "That one of our test subjects woke up? They will shut down the entire study." "Maybe they should." Venn shot him a look that could have melted steel. "We have invested 7 months into this research. The data we have collected is invaluable. I am not throwing it away because one human has an unusual reaction to the sedatives." "Unusual? Sir, he's walking." Indeed, Marcus Hale was walking. Slowly, carefully, but walking nonetheless. He moved past the other pods, his hand trailing along their surfaces. He stopped at Pod 19, the Vaxian with the elevated temperature, leaned in close, stared at the sleeping alien inside. "What is he doing?" Pip whispered. Finn did not answer. He was too busy watching, observing. His scientific mind was cataloging every movement, every detail. Marcus moved to the next pod, then the next. He was examining each subject, his expression neutral, clinical almost, like he was the doctor and they were his patients. "He's checking them," Venn said softly. "He's checking to see if they are alive." "Of course they are alive. All vitals are stable." "He does not know that." Marcus reached the center of the lab and stopped. He tilted his head back, looking up at the ceiling, at the lights, at the ventilation system. His lips moved. He was talking to himself, or maybe singing. Humans did that sometimes. Strange creatures. Then he spoke louder. Loud enough for the audio pickups to catch. "I know you are watching me." Then felt a chill run through his dorsal ridge. "Can he see us?" Pip asked. "The observation windows are one way. He should not be able to see us, no." Marcus turned in a slow circle, his arms spread wide. "This is a lab, right? Some kind of medical facility? And you are running experiments on us?" He laughed. It was not a pleasant sound. "Classic abduction scenario. I have seen this movie before." "He thinks we abducted him?" Pip sounded offended. "We have signed consent forms." "Speak, please." "Shut up." Marcus was walking again, this time toward the equipment cabinets along the wall. He tried a door, locked. Tried another, also locked. The third one opened, revealing shelves of medical supplies, scanners, injectors, sample containers. He picked up a scanner, turned it over in his hands, examining it. "Okay," he said to himself. "Okay. Think, Marcus. You volunteered for a sleep study. They said it was safe. They said you'd wake up in 3 months with a nice fat paycheck. They did not mention alien scientists or secret labs or any of this sci-fi nonsense. We are not secret, Pip protested. Pip, he cannot hear you. Well, we should tell him. We should explain. Explain what? That he is part of a multi-species pharmaceutical trial that may or may not have been fully approved by all necessary ethics committees. That we pumped him full of enough sedatives to knock out a Vaxian battlecruiser, and yet he woke up anyway. That we have no idea how this happened or how to fix it. Beeb's face turned a paler shade of blue. When you put it that way, it does sound bad. It sounds criminal, Pip, because it probably is. Down in the lab, Marcus was trying the door. The main exit. It was locked, of course, triple sealed, magnetically reinforced, designed to contain everything from rogue viruses to angry test subjects. He pulled, nothing. Pushed, nothing. Kicked it. The door did not even rattle. Fantastic, Marcus muttered, trapped in a lab with a bunch of sleeping aliens and no idea where I am or how to get out. This is fine. Everything is fine. He was panicking. Venn could see it in his body language, the rapid breathing, the clenched fists, the way his eyes darted around looking for exits that did not exist. But then something strange happened. Marcus stopped, took a deep breath, held it, released it slowly, did it again, and again. He's calming himself, Venn observed, controlling his fear response. Humans can do that? Apparently this one can. After a minute, Marcus's breathing returned to normal. His shoulders relaxed. He looked around the lab again, this time with clearer eyes, assessing, planning. All right, he said. All right. Freaking out is not going to help. Think practical. You are locked in. They are watching. You need information. He walked back to the equipment cabinet and started pulling out items. A scanner, a sample kit, a diagnostic tablet. He powered up the tablet, his fingers moving across the interface with surprising familiarity. How does he know how to operate that? Pip asked. Venn leaned closer to the glass. The interface uses standard galactic common iconography. It is designed to be intuitive for multiple species. But still, he should not be able to. Wait. What is he doing? Marcus had activated one of the portable scanners and was waving it over his own body. The device beeped, displaying biological data in scrolling text. He's scanning himself, Venn breathed. Can he read the data? I doubt it. That scanner displays information in Vroxian technical script. But Marcus was frowning at the screen, his brow furrowed in concentration. He tapped a few icons, changed the display mode, adjusted the settings. The readout shifted to a different format. More graphs, fewer numbers. Marcus said. That's a lot of drugs in my system. Like a truly impressive amount. He looked up at the observation window again, even though he should not be able to see anyone inside. What were you guys trying to do? Kill me or study me? Because from these readings, it looks like you were hedging your bets. Then felt a creeping sense of unease. This human was not just awake, he was coherent, rational, problem-solving. Every other species they had tested went through a disoriented phase after waking, confusion, nausea, memory loss. It took hours for cognitive functions to return to normal. Marcus Hale had been conscious for less than 10 minutes and was already hacking their medical equipment. Sir, Pip said quietly, I think we should sedate him. Before he hurts himself, or damages something, or before he figures out where he is and decides to sue us for everything we own. That too. Venn made a decision. Open a comm channel to the lab. Audio only. Pip hesitated, then nodded. He tapped a control. A speaker crackled to life down in the lab. Marcus jumped at the sound, spinning around. Subject 47, Venn said, keeping his voice calm and professional. Please remain calm. You are in no danger. Marcus's eyes widened. Oh good, the disembodied voice. That's always a good sign. Sarcasm. Wonderful. My name is Dr. Venn. You are in a medical research facility. You volunteered to participate in a comparative xenobiological study. Did I volunteer to wake up while everyone else is still asleep? No. That was unintended. Unintended. Right. So you screwed up. Venn's tendrils twitched in annoyance. There appears to have been an unexpected variable in your response to the sedation protocol. An unexpected variable. Is that medical speak for you accidentally gave me the wrong dose? We gave you the correct dose. Your species appears to have metabolized it differently than anticipated. Marcus barked out a laugh. Of course we did. Because humans are weird. We are the galaxy's favorite anomaly, right? He gestured at the pods around him. So what happens now? You pump me full of more drugs and hope I go back to sleep. That would be the safest option, yes. Safest for who? Me or you? Venn did not answer. Marcus walked closer to the observation window, stopping just a few meters away. Even though he could not see through it, he stared directly at where Venn was standing. It was deeply unsettling. Let me guess, Marcus said. If I don't cooperate, you will sedate me by force. If I do cooperate, you will sedate me gently. Either way, I end up unconscious again, and you hope the problem goes away. Subject 47. Marcus. My name is Marcus. Marcus. Then, you signed a contract. You agreed to the terms of this study. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure waking up in a locked lab with no explanation violates several of those terms. Maybe a freight hauler, Doc, but I'm not stupid. I know when someone's in legal trouble, and right now you are drowning in it. Venn exchanged a glance with Pip. The human was absolutely correct. What do you want? Venn asked. Marcus smiled. That same knowing, unsettling smile. Information. Answers. And maybe an apology for the massive quantities of alien sedatives currently pickling my liver. I can provide information. Great. Start with the big question. Where am I? Research Station Helix. In the outer Markov sector. Never heard of it. How far from Earth? Approximately 470 light-years. Marcus's expression did not change. 470? That's a long way. Yes. How long have I been asleep? 7 weeks, 2 days. And how long was I supposed to be asleep? 12 weeks. So I'm early. Fantastic. Always knew I was an overachiever. Marcus rubbed his face, his hand shaking slightly. Okay. Next question. Can you get me home? Eventually, yes. Define eventually. Once the study concludes, all subjects will be transported back to their points of origin. So 5 more weeks, approximately. And in the meantime, we need to ensure your safety and the safety of the study. Marcus laughed again. Bitter this time. My safety. Right. Because pumping me full of experimental drugs is so safe. The drugs are not experimental. They have been tested extensively. On humans? Venn hesitated a fraction too long. That's what I thought, Marcus said. You are using us as guinea pigs. Testing to see how our biology handles your meds. Bet you are getting some fascinating data. The study is beneficial to the entire galactic medical community. Understanding how different species respond to the same treatments allows us to develop better, more universal pharmaceuticals. Yeah. Greater good. I have heard that speech before. Usually from people doing things they know are morally questionable. Marcus turned away, walking back toward the center of the lab. Here's the thing, Doc. I'm awake. I'm not going back to sleep willingly. And if you force me, I promise you, the moment I get back to Earth, I'm talking to every lawyer, journalist, and government official who will listen. I'm going to make your life a bureaucratic nightmare. Venn felt his stomach clench again. That would be unfortunate. For you, yeah. For both of us. Negative publicity could shut down the entire xenobiological research program. Thousands of studies, millions of data points, all lost. Medical advances that could save lives, gone. Not my problem. It could be. If you cooperate. Marcus stopped walking. Turned. I'm listening. Venn chose his words carefully. If you agree to remain in the facility, allow us to monitor your condition, and refrain from causing problems, I can offer you certain accommodations. Better quarters. Access to entertainment systems. Regular updates on the other subjects. Full disclosure of all research findings. And if I don't agree, then we will have no choice but to sedate you again. For your own safety, of course. Of course. The silence stretched out. Tense. Heavy. Finally, Marcus spoke. You are afraid of me. Excuse me? You are afraid. I can hear it in your voice. You didn't expect me to wake up, and now that I have, you don't know what to do. You are worried I will mess up your study. Maybe hurt myself. Maybe hurt the other subjects. Or maybe just expose what you are doing here. He smiled. That's power, Doc, and I'm just starting to realize how much I have. Venn said nothing. What could he say? The human was right. Marcus walked to one of the stasis pods, resting his hand on the glass. Inside, a Keltar warrior slept peacefully. These people, these aliens, whatever, They are all here for the same reason I am, right? Money, debt, desperation. You are taking advantage of that. We are providing an opportunity. You are exploiting us. There's a difference. Marcus looked back at the observation window. But here's the thing. I'm not a hero. I'm not going to stage some dramatic escape or try to wake everyone up. That sounds exhausting and probably dangerous. What I am is practical, so here's my counteroffer. I am listening. I stay awake. You give me access to the facility. Not just a better room. I want to move around. See what's going on. Maybe help out. I used to work medical transport back on Earth before the freight business. I know my way around a med bay. I can be useful. Absolutely not, Pip interjected. Sir, we cannot allow a test subject to have free run of the facility. Marcus heard the second voice. Oh, there's two of you. Even better. Listen, whoever you are, I'm awake. That's not changing. You can either lock me in a room for 5 weeks and hope I don't go crazy, or you can let me be productive. Your choice. Venn considered it. Every instinct screamed this was a terrible idea. Allowing a test subject access to the facility violated so many protocols he had lost count. But the alternative was worse. An angry, uncooperative human locked in a room was a lawsuit waiting to happen. A cooperative human who felt included, who felt valuable, might be willing to sign additional waivers. I need to discuss this with my superiors, Venn said finally. You do that, I will just hang out here with my 46 new roommates. Marcus sat down on the floor, cross-legged, looking remarkably comfortable for someone in a locked lab. Take your time. I have got nowhere to be. Then cut the comm channel and turned to Pip. Contact Administrator Krell. Tell her we have a situation. Sir, this is insane. I am aware, do it anyway. As Pip scrambled to open a channel, then looked back at the lab. Marcus was still sitting there, calm as anything, occasionally glancing at the sleeping aliens around him, a human who could resist sedatives. A human who woke up when he should not, a human who was smart, sarcastic, and dangerously aware of the legal implications of everything happening around him. This, Venn thought, was going to be a very long 5 weeks, and somehow he suspected Marcus Hale was going to make every single day of it absolutely miserable, or possibly interesting. With humans, it was always hard to tell the difference. Administrator Krell arrived within the hour, which was impressive considering she worked 3 levels up and moved with the speed of continental drift. She was a Thorgian, which meant she had scales, 6 limbs, and the personality of a bureaucratic sledgehammer. Then both respected and feared her in equal measure. Explain, she said, squeezing her bulk into the observation gallery. The room suddenly felt much smaller. Venn gestured to the monitors. Subject 47, the human, woke up approximately 90 minutes ago. He has been conscious and coherent since. All attempts to understand why the sedation failed have been unsuccessful. Grill's eyes, all 6 of them, focused on the screens showing Marcus. The human was now lying on the floor, staring at the ceiling, humming some kind of tune. He looked bored, and his demands? He wants freedom of movement within the facility. He claims he can be useful. He has medical transport experience. A test subject wanting to help run the test. How delightfully absurd. Krella's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. A nervous habit. What are his exact words? Then played back the recording of their conversation. Krell listened without interruption, her expression unreadable. When it finished, she was quiet for a long moment. He is threatening legal action, she said finally. Essentially, yes, and he understands the position this puts us in. He does. He is intelligent, dangerously so. Krella made a rumbling sound deep in her throat. Humans. I knew they would be trouble. Too clever for their own good. Too stubborn to admit when they should quit. She turned to Venn. What is your professional opinion, Doctor? Venn chose his words carefully. If we keep him sedated by force, we risk significant legal repercussions. If we isolate him, he will likely become unstable. But if we grant him limited access, supervised at all times, we may be able to control the situation. Additionally, his unique reaction to the sedatives makes him scientifically valuable. We could learn something important, or he could sabotage the entire study. That is also possible. Krell tapped her claws against the console, thinking, very well, grant him supervised access to non-critical areas. Assign him simple tasks, keep him busy and monitored. But Dr. Venn, if this goes wrong, it is your career on the line. not mine. Understood. Perfectly. Good. Now wake him up and tell him the good news. I want this resolved before my next meeting. She lumbered toward the door, pausing at the threshold. And then, find out why he woke up. If one human can resist our sedation protocols, others might too. That would be very, very bad for business. After she left, Pip let out a breath he had been holding. She is terrifying. She is effective. There is a difference. Then turned back to the comm. Marcus, are you awake? Down in the lab, Marcus sat up immediately. I am now. You guys take forever to make decisions. By the way, I have been down here for almost 2 hours. We have discussed your proposal, and you will be granted supervised access to designated areas of the facility. You will be given tasks appropriate to your skill level. You will be monitored at all times. Any violation of our rules will result in immediate sedation. Do you accept these terms? Marcus stood, brushing dust off his medical gown. Do I get real clothes, or am I stuck in this fashionable paper outfit? You will be provided with appropriate attire. Then yeah, Doc, I accept. When do we start? Immediately. Stand by the door. Someone will collect you shortly. Venn cut the comm and turned to Pip. Go down there, bring him to Medical Bay. 2. Get him processed, clothed and fed. Then bring him back here. I want to run some tests. Me? Sir, I am just an assistant. Should not security handle this? Security will ask questions. Questions lead to reports. Reports lead to investigations. Do you want an investigation, Pip? No, sir. Then go. And Pip, be polite, but not too friendly. We need him compliant, not comfortable. Pipe nodded and left, his expression suggesting he would rather face a Vupraxian battle squadron than one unpredictable human. Then watched through the monitors as Pip entered the lab. Marcus stood waiting, hands in his pockets, looking amused. They exchanged words. Pip gestured toward the door. Marcus followed. Once they were gone, then pulled up Marcus Hale's complete file. Not just the basic information, but everything. Medical history, psychological profile, financial records, employment history, even his social media presence from Earth. There had to be something here. Some explanation for why this particular human had such an unusual reaction to the sedatives. Medical history showed nothing remarkable. No allergies, no genetic anomalies, no previous adverse reactions to medications. Healthy male, slightly above average height, standard human physiology. Psychological profile was more interesting. Marcus scored high in resilience, problem-solving, and adaptability. He had a history of working in high-stress environments. Military service in his early 20s, 4 years as a combat medic. Honorable discharge. Then civilian medical transport for 6 years. Then the freight business, which collapsed after a series of bad contracts. Combat medic. That explained the calm demeanor, the ability to think clearly under pressure. He had been trained to handle emergencies, but it did not explain the immunity to sedatives. Venn pulled up the metabolic data from Marcus's stasis pod. The sedative cocktail consisted of 3 primary compounds, each one targeted different neural pathways. Together they should have kept him unconscious for months. The dosage had been calculated precisely based on his body mass, metabolism, and species physiology. Yet his body had metabolized the drugs 37% faster than predicted. His liver enzymes were working overtime, breaking down the compounds and flushing them from his system. It was as if his body recognized the sedatives as a threat and fought back, then leaned back in his chair, 3 of his eyes closing in thought. The 4th remained on the screen, watching the data scroll past. Humans had survived on Earth for millions of years. A death world by galactic standards. High gravity, extreme weather, dangerous wildlife, countless diseases. To survive there, they had developed immune systems that were essentially biological war machines. Aggressive, adaptive, paranoid. What if that same aggressive biology extended to pharmaceutical resistance? It would make sense. A species that evolved to fight off every toxin, poison, and pathogen on their planet would naturally develop defenses against foreign chemicals, even beneficial ones. Fascinating, Venn murmured, and deeply problematic. If humans could resist standard sedation protocols, it had implications far beyond this study. Anesthesia during surgery, pain management, psychiatric medications, all of it would need to be recalibrated for human physiology. The medical community was not ready for that. Neither was Venn. A notification blinked on his screen. Pip was bringing Marcus to Medical Bay 2. Time to get some answers. Marcus followed the young alien through sterile white corridors, trying to memorize the layout. Old habits. Always know your exits. Always have an escape route, even if you do not plan to use it. Pip, as the alien had introduced himself, was nervous. Marcus could tell from the way his head tendrils kept twitching, the way his eyes darted around like he expected something to jump out at them. So, Marcus said casually, "How long have you worked here?" 6 months. Pip replied without looking back. "You like it? It is acceptable." "That is a no." Pip stopped walking and turned. His species had 4 eyes, which made his exasperated expression 4 times more effective. "Why are you asking me questions?" "Because I am curious. Because I am trying to understand where I am and who is running this place. Because if I do not talk to someone, I am going to go crazy from boredom." "You just woke up." "Yeah. And I have been locked in a room for 7 weeks before that. Trust me, I am desperate for conversation." Pip considered this, then continued walking. Dr. Venn is one of the lead researchers. He is brilliant, but difficult. Administrator Krell oversees operations. She is efficient but ruthless. The facility employs 214 staff across 12 departments. We conduct 17 different studies simultaneously. And how many of those studies involve sedating people without fully understanding what you are doing? Pip's tendrils went rigid. "That is not fair. Is not it? I am here because you guys needed human test data. You measured me, calculated dosages, and assumed it would work. But you did not actually know, did you?" "We followed standard protocols. We ran simulations. We consulted experts. And yet here I am, awake." They reached a door marked Medical Bay 2. Pip pressed his palm against a scanner and the door slid open. Inside was a small examination room. Clean, efficient, slightly cold. "Wait here," Pip said. "Dr. Venn will be with you shortly." He hesitated at the door. "For what it is worth, I am sorry this happened to you. It was not supposed to go this way." "I know," Marcus said. "But it did. And now we all have to deal with it." But Pip left. The door sealed behind him with a hiss. Marcus looked around the room. Examination table in the center. Equipment cabinets along one wall. Monitors and displays on another. Everything was labeled in alien script he could not read, but the shapes and functions were recognizable. Medical equipment was medical equipment regardless of who built it. He sat on the examination table and waited. 5 minutes later, Dr. Venn entered. The alien was tall, maybe 2 meters, with mottled gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on his face. Had tendrils draped over his shoulders like dreadlocks. He wore a white coat that looked official and a tablet clutched in one hand. "Marcus," Venn said, his voice surprisingly smooth. "Thank you for your cooperation." "Did I have a choice?" "Not really, no." Venn set his tablet down and began pulling out scanning equipment. "I need to run some tests." Standard procedure. Blood samples. Neural scans. Metabolic analysis. It will take approximately 30 minutes. "Will it hurt?" "Only if you fight me." Marcus smirked. "I like you, Doc. You are honest. That is rare. I find honesty more efficient than deception." Then approached with a scanner, waving it over Marcus's body. "Besides, you are intelligent enough to know when you are being lied to. It would be pointless to try." "Fair enough. So what are you looking for?" "Answers. Your body metabolized the sedatives faster than any human should be able to. I want to understand why. Maybe I am just special. Every organism is special in its own way. But this is not a quirk. This is a biological defense mechanism operating at extreme efficiency. Your liver enzymes are processing foreign compounds at rates I have never seen outside of species that evolved on toxic worlds. Earth is pretty toxic in places," Marcus offered. "Earth is a death world by galactic standards. High gravity, temperature extremes, dangerous megafauna, thousands of lethal microorganisms. Yes, I am aware, but even accounting for that, your resistance is exceptional." Venn took a blood sample, barely a pinch. Marcus watched as the alien fed the sample into an analyzer. Numbers and graphs appeared on a screen, scrolling too fast for Marcus to follow. Venn said. Good or bad? Interesting. Your white blood cell count is elevated. Your antibodies are highly active. It is as if your immune system detected the sedatives as an invasion and responded accordingly. Is that normal? For humans, I have no idea. There are only 1,200 humans in this sector of space. The medical data we have on your species is limited at best. You are still very much an unknown quantity. Marcus leaned back on the table. So I am a test case. Great. I have always wanted to be a guinea pig. You volunteered for that role. I volunteered to sleep for 12 weeks and get paid, not to become a medical mystery, then paused, turning to face Marcus fully. All four eyes focused on him with unsettling intensity. Would you like to know what I think happened? Sure. Enlighten me. I think your body recognized the sedatives as a threat. Your immune system activated, your liver went into overdrive, and your brain refused to shut down completely. You fought it. Unconsciously, biologically, but you fought it. And you won. So I am just stubborn on a cellular level, in a manner of speaking. Yes, Marcus laughed. It felt good to laugh. That tracks. I have been called stubborn my whole life. Nice to know it is genetic. Venn did not laugh. It is not funny, Marcus. If one human can resist our sedation protocols, others might too. That has implications for medical treatment across the galaxy. Anesthesia could fail during surgery. Pain management could be ineffective. Psychiatric interventions could backfire. Your species is going to be a nightmare to treat. Welcome to humanity, Doc. We are a walking contradiction. We are fragile but resilient. We are emotional but logical. We should not work, but we do. And we always surprise people. I am beginning to understand that. Then finished his tests and stepped back. You are healthy. Remarkably so. Considering the circumstances, I will monitor your condition daily. If you experience any side effects, headaches, nausea, dizziness, tell someone immediately. Got it. So what now? You said you had tasks for me? Yes. Simple ones to start. Inventory checks. Equipment maintenance. Data entry. Nothing that requires security clearance. Sounds boring. It is. But it will keep you occupied. And more importantly, it will keep you visible. If the staff sees you working, being productive, they will stop seeing you as a problem. Psychology. Nice. You are good at this. I have been managing difficult subjects for 20 years. You are not the first to challenge me. But I am the most fun, right? Venn's tendrils twitched in what might have been amusement. You are certainly the most talkative. A door chimed. Peep entered holding a bundle of clothes. Sir, the supplies you requested. Excellent. Marcus, get dressed. Pip will show you to your quarters. You start work tomorrow at 0700 station time. Marcus took the clothes. Standard jumpsuit. Gray with blue stripes. Functional. Boring. But better than the paper gown. Thanks, Doc, for not killing me. The day is not over yet. Marcus changed quickly and followed Pip out. As they walked through the corridors, he noticed other staff members watching him. Curious, wary. One alien, a small furry creature with too many limbs, actually hissed as they passed. They do not like me, Marcus observed. They do not trust you, Pip corrected. You are an anomaly. Anomalies are dangerous. I am just a guy who woke up at the wrong time. That is what makes you dangerous. They reached a door marked Temporary Quarters 7. Pip opened it. Inside was a small room with a bed, a desk, a bathroom and a small window showing the stars outside. This is yours for the duration of your stay, Pip said. Meals are delivered 3 times daily. If you need anything, use the comm panel. Someone will respond. Eventually, we are understaffed. Budget cuts. You know how it is. Marcus stepped inside, looking around. It was sparse but clean. Better than a cell. Could be worse. It could always be worse, Pip agreed. Try not to cause trouble, Marcus, please. Some of us actually need this job. I will be good. Scout's honor. What is a scout? Never mind. Thanks, Pip, for being decent. Pip nodded and left. The door sealed behind him, but Marcus noticed it was not locked. He could leave if he wanted. That was something. He sat on the bed and looked out the window at the stars. 470 light-years from Earth, alone in a facility full of aliens who did not trust him, stuck for 5 more weeks, but alive, awake, and free to move around. He could work with that. 3 days passed. Marcus fell into a routine. Wake up, eat the weird alien breakfast that tasted like cardboard but kept him alive. Report to Medical Bay 2 where Venn ran daily tests. Then work. Inventory in Storage Bay 4. Calibration checks on equipment. Data entry on tablets he could barely read. Boring work. Mind-numbing work. But it was something. The staff slowly stopped treating him like a threat. They still watched him, still kept their distance, but the outright hostility faded. He learned names: Pip the assistant, Tor the engineer, Helix the medical technician, a dozen others. On the fourth day, something changed. Marcus was in the lab, organizing medical supplies when an alarm blared. Red lights flashed. Staff ran past the windows, shouting. He looked up at the observation gallery. Venn was there, staring at the monitors, all four eyes wide with panic. Marcus pressed the comm button. "Doc, what is going on?" Venn did not answer immediately. When he did, his voice was strained. "Subject 19. The Valkyrian. His vitals are crashing." Marcus looked at Pod 19. Inside, the large alien was thrashing. Weak movements, but movement nonetheless. His face was twisted in pain. "He is waking up," Marcus said. "That is impossible. We increased his sedation after your incident. He should be comatose." "Well, he is not." Marcus moved closer to the pod. The Varaxian's heart rate was visible on the monitor. Erratic. Dangerous. "Doc, his heart is failing. You need to do something." "We are trying." Venn's voice cracked. "The automated systems are not responding. The pod's life support is malfunctioning." "Then open it. Get him out." "We cannot, it is sealed. Emergency lockdown. It will not override." Marcus stared at the pod. The Varaxian's movements were getting weaker. His skin was turning a darker shade. He was dying. "Override it manually," Marcus said. "We do not have time. The lockdown takes 15 minutes to disengage." "Then I will do it." "What?" "Marcus, no. You do not have the training." "I was a combat medic, Doc. I have done emergency extractions before. Tell me what to do." Silence. Then Venn's voice, desperate. "There is an emergency release panel on the left side of the pod. Red cover. Pull it open. Inside is a manual lever. Pull it down hard. The pod will open, but the coolant will flood the area. You will have seconds to get him out before hypothermia sets in." "Got it." "Marcus, this is incredibly dangerous." "He is dying right now." "That is more dangerous." Marcus ran to the pod, found the red cover, yanked it open. The lever inside was stiff, corroded. He pulled with everything he had. The pod hissed. The lid cracked open. Coolant vapor exploded outward, freezing cold. Marcus shielded his face, reached inside, and grabbed the Varaxian under the arms. The alien was huge, at least 300 pounds, but Marcus had hauled freight heavier than this. He pulled, his muscles screaming, his hands going numb from the cold. The Varaxian came free. Marcus dragged him away from the pod, laying him on the floor. The alien was not breathing. "Venn, I need instructions. Now." "Varaxian physiology. 2 hearts. Primary is on the left side. Secondary on the right. You need to restart both." Marcus positioned his hands. Pressed down. 1, 2, 3. Switch sides. 1, 2, 3. Back and forth. Compressions on alien anatomy he did not understand. "Come on," Marcus muttered. "Come on, you big bastard. Do not die on me." 30 seconds. Nothing. A minute. Still nothing. Then the Varaxian coughed. Gasped. His eyes fluttered open. Massive, yellow eyes. Confused. Terrified. "You are okay," Marcus said, even though he had no idea the alien could understand him. "You are okay. Just breathe." The Varaxian looked at him, then at the pod, then at Marcus again. He tried to speak, but no sound came out. The lab doors burst open. Medical staff flooded in, pushing Marcus aside. They surrounded the Varaxian, scanners and equipment everywhere. Marcus stepped back, his hands shaking from adrenaline and cold. He watched as they worked, as they stabilized the alien, as they loaded him onto a gurney and rushed him out. Venn appeared beside him, breathing hard. That was incredibly reckless. "He is alive, barely. Still counts." Venn stared at him. Then unexpectedly he placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder, a gesture that seemed significant. "You saved his life. Thank you." Just doing what needed to be done. Most people would have hesitated, waited for professionals. "I am a professional, Doc. You keep forgetting that." Venn's tendrils twitched. Almost a smile. "I will try to remember." Over the next hour the facility went into controlled chaos. The Varaxian was stabilized in intensive care. Engineers swarmed over Pod 19 analyzing the malfunction. Venn and his team ran diagnostics on all the other pods. Marcus sat in his quarters staring at his hands. They had stopped shaking, but the memory of that moment pulling a dying alien from a frozen pod stayed with him. A knock at the door. Venn entered without waiting for permission. He looked exhausted. "How is he?" Marcus asked. "Alive. Thanks to you, he will recover fully." Venn sat in the desk chair, three of his eyes closing. "We found the problem. A software glitch in the pod's control system. It caused a feedback loop that overrode the safety protocols. We are checking all the other pods now. Could it happen again? We are taking precautions. But yes, it could." Silence. Marcus stood and looked out the window. "You know what is funny," he said. "I signed up for this because I needed money. I was desperate. But now I am here, and I cannot help thinking I am supposed to be here. Like this happened for a reason. That is a very human way of thinking. Is it wrong? No. Just different. Most species accept randomness. Humans look for patterns, purpose. It makes you frustrating to work with but admirable in your persistence." Marcus smiled. "I will take that as a compliment." Venn stood to leave, then paused. "Marcus, what you did today, it showed us something important. Humans are not just scientifically interesting, you are brave, resourceful, willing to help others even when it puts you at risk. That matters." "Are you saying you like me, Doc?" "I am saying I respect you, which is far more valuable." After Venn left, Marcus lay on his bed and stared at the ceiling. For 5 more weeks, then he could go home, back to Earth, back to his debts and failures in normal life. But something had changed today. He had saved a life, made a difference. For the first time in a long time, he felt useful. Maybe being awake was not such a bad thing after all. The facility hummed around him. Machines and aliens and sleeping subjects, all part of a grand experiment. And somewhere in all of that, Marcus Hale, freight hauler and accidental hero, had found his place. Not bad for a guy who just wanted to sleep for 12 weeks. 5 weeks later, Marcus stood in the departure bay, his bag packed, his paperwork signed. The Vaxian, whose name he had learned was Gorvan, stood beside him, fully recovered. "Thank you again," Gorvan said in surprisingly good English. "You did not have to help me." "Yeah, I did. Could not just let you die. Most would have." "Then most people are wrong." Gorvan laughed, a deep rumbling sound. "Humans, you are all insane, probably. But we are fun at parties." Venn approached, tablet in hand as always. "Your transport leaves in 10 minutes. Everything is arranged. Your payment has been transferred. And Marcus, your NDA is binding. Everything you saw here stays confidential. I remember. No lawyers, no journalists, no angry speeches." "Exactly." Marcus extended his hand, then looked at it, confused. "It is a handshake, Doc. Human custom. Means respect." Then reached out, gripping Marcus's hand awkwardly. "I have enjoyed working with you, despite the complication." "Same here. Thanks for not killing me." "You are welcome." The transport arrived, its engines humming. Marcus picked up his bag and headed for the ramp. At the threshold, he stopped and looked back. 46 sleeping aliens. One awake Verfirkain. A staff of scientists trying to understand the galaxy one species at a time. It was weird. It was morally questionable. But it was also important. "Hey, Doc," Marcus called. "Figure out why I woke up." Venn smiled. All 4 eyes. "Yes. Turns out humans are just stubborn. On every level. Cellular, biological, psychological. You fight everything. Even rest." It sounds about right. It is also why you survive. Why you adapt. Why you will probably outlast most of us. Marcus grinned. "Humanity, we are too stubborn to quit. Put that on our tombstone." He boarded the transport. The doors sealed. The engines roared. As the ship lifted off, Marcus looked out the viewport at Research Station Helix, growing smaller below. 5 weeks of chaos. 5 weeks of discovery. 5 weeks of being exactly where he was needed. Not bad for a guy who just wanted to pay off his debts. The human had woken up in the lab. Everyone else had stayed asleep. And in the end, that made all the difference.